Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di and today I am bringing you my July wrap-up. I have decided that since I've been reading so much manga and the last wrap-up was relatively long, I'm going to split this month's wrap-up into two videos. So this video will only contain the novels I read. Look out for the manga video sometime next week. So in July, I read 4 novels, and that pretty much puts me on track for the month, but I'm still behind on my year-round tally because I do still want to read 52 novels in the year of 2019, but I'm doing a little better. So let's just get into what novels I read in July. The first one I read was Bewitched and Betrothed, a witchcraft mystery. This is the 10th book in that series by Juliet Blackwell. I was lucky enough to get an advanced reader's copy from the First to Read program from Penguin Random House. Unfortunately, the First to Read program is no longer in existence, and this was the final advanced reader's copy that I was able to get from them. So I'm super thankful, especially because this has been one of my most anticipated series. I don't normally read books as they are coming out or series as they are releasing, but this one is one that I always feel comfortable getting into the series again after being away from it for a year or however long it takes for the next installment to come out. So I am really enjoying this series. It follows a witch named Lily Ivory who's in the San Francisco area. And in this particular installment, trouble is a brewing on Alcatraz while she is trying to prepare for her wedding. Now the wedding is a event that has been kind of tooted in the last 2 books. I thought it was going to happen in the last one, but alas, it didn't. And so I was eagerly awaiting this installment to come out. The wedding does take place in this installment, which was so nice to see. But I am a little bit disappointed that the actual event didn't really have a big spotlight. This book really focused more of its attention on the mystery at Alcatraz. This one also took a bit for me to get into. I truthfully did not really get hooked into this story until they visited Alcatraz. But once they got there, things picked up really fast. The supernatural activity was really packing a punch there. And I ended up reading, I think, about 50% of the book in one sitting after that point. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars and I can't wait until the next installment. The second book I read was the final book in the Forgotten Files trilogy by Mary Burton. This installment is called The Hangman. This trilogy is not a trilogy in the traditional sense, whereas it doesn't follow the same characters throughout all 3 books. It's more of a companion trilogy, though the author does find great ways to incorporate characters from the previous books into each story. So anyway, this installment, The Hangman, follows Julia Vargas as she reopens a case that her father was working on when she was younger. Her father was also a police detective, and he dies in the course of the investigation. However, before his death, it looks like he was the hangman killer. Julia has never been convinced that her father was the killer, and so this case has kind of haunted her entire life. Now her opportunity has arisen to reopen the case because another body has been found. And when I say another body has been found, it's an older body, so it does go back to the original case. We're not talking about a possible copycat. This series is classified as romantic suspense, and I don't really read a lot of romantic suspense novels, but I've really enjoyed this trilogy from Mary Burton. This case was very interesting. I had no idea who the killer was until it was revealed. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed this trilogy on a whole. And I am definitely looking to read more of this author's work in the future. I did borrow this one from Kindle Unlimited, and I know the author has several other books on that service. So yeah, gave this one 4 stars. Definitely looking into other books from this author. The next book I read was the first book in the World's Scariest Places series by Jeremy Bates, and this was entitled Suicide Forest. I read the Girl in the Well trilogy by Rin Chipico last month, or I should say in June, and the second book in her duology takes place in Aokigahara. So I've been meaning to read this book by Jeremy Bates for a while, and I thought since I've already read a book that takes place in the Suicide Forest, I should just go ahead and read this one also. So this one follows a group of hikers who had planned to go hiking on Mount Fuji, but because of severe weather conditions, they were unable to, and then somebody comes up with the bright idea to camp out in Aokigahara. This setting in itself is scary. I mean, unfortunately, the forest is known for the number of people that go there to end their lives. But I've seen some videos of people hiking through it during the day, and it is a really beautiful forest. It's very quiet, and there's just something about the ambiance there that lent itself to the scary backdrop for this story. Now, the story in itself took a while to start having things happen. Once it did, it really took off for me, though there were things that I could have done without. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this one. It was creepy. The backdrop for it was perfect. I did only end up giving it 4 stars. And I will be looking into the other books into this series, but for me, this one was just an enjoyable read. It didn't creep me out to the point where I couldn't sleep, but it was definitely spine tingling, I guess you could say. So yeah, that one was Suicide Forest by Jeremy Bates. And the last book that I read in the month of July was the final book in the Bone Witch trilogy by Rin Chipico. Like I mentioned, in June I read her Girl in the Well duology, and so this is a new release, 2019 release. I have been following this trilogy since it started because I was given an arc of The Bone Witch, which is the first book in this trilogy. And so, yeah, this is the rare series that I am or had been reading as it released. I can say that this read really enforced the reason why I do not read series as they are releasing. Let me go into a little bit of synopsis before I go on into more of why I really realize why I don't read books series as they are releasing. This series follows Thea, who at the beginning of this series finds out that she is a Dark Asha. Dark Asha in this world are also known as necromancers, and therefore they don't have the best reputation in the society, but they are also very powerful. And so she stumbles upon her abilities and is taken in by Michaela, who teaches her to hone her abilities and takes her to a house with other Asha. And it kind of reminds me of maybe the way a geisha would be trained. They do learn how to entertain men. They play them music, they sing songs, they pour drinks. That kind of entertainment. And she also learns how to hone her magical abilities. So this story is told in different points of view. So we have a point of view in the present, and then we have a point of view in the past. The first book, we start off somewhere in the middle of her series and then go back to the beginning and start working our way through to the present. But you start at the middle, but you also have the present. And it goes back and forth chapter by chapter. And this type of writing style doesn't really work for me. I get confused very easily. And it's not like other books that I've read that are like this, where even though you're switching back and forth between points of view, you know whose point of view it is because their name is at the beginning of the chapter. That's not how this series works. And so, though I had trouble with the first book because I was reading it physically, when I got to the second book, I decided to listen to it completely on audio, and that really helped. There is a narrator for the present point of view and the past point of view. So that difference really helped me remember whose point of view I was in or which timeline I was in. And so I decided on this final book to go ahead and listen to the audio as well. However, I did end up really wanting to know how the story was going to end and read the last bit physically. And I don't know that that was the right decision to make because, again, I got confused. I had to reread a lot because I couldn't remember whose point of view we were in, especially because towards the end of the final book, we are getting closer and closer to where both timelines meet up. Yeah, this way of storytelling just doesn't work for me, and I ended up giving this one only a 3.5. For me, even though this series was enjoyable, it probably won't be one that I reread. I do enjoy the magical elements of it, but I don't know, there was just something about this series that didn't grasp my attention completely, I guess. And I think it is largely because of the way that the story is told. If it was more fluid for me, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But yeah, I did enjoy this series. I don't read a lot of fantasy, which I think this series is classified as. But yeah, I did enjoy it, even though I probably won't be rereading this one in the future. So that is all of the novels that I read in the month of July. I ended up finishing 2 series, which is really good. I am in the process of trying to put together a spreadsheet of all of the series that I haven't completed. The list is already very long, but we're just not going to talk about that. But checking 2 series off of that list is quite a good thing, I think. So I have been doing really well with completing series, and yeah, I'm very happy with the number of novels that I ended up reading in the month of July. let's hope I can continue that in the month of August, even though I am participating in the Spartan Challenge, which is going to take up a good portion of my attention in the manga department. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books or if you plan on reading them. I hope you're all doing great, and until next time, take care and smile always. Bye!